If you had asked me what the worst day of my life was, I would have said the morning I lost my job, or maybe the night my mom passed. But now, looking back, none of those moments compare to the afternoon I watched a police officer shove my pregnant wife into the dirt like she was trash. That was the moment something inside me snapped. The moment I knew the quiet, normal life I'd been trying to build was about to burn down. But let me start where it really began. It was a warm Thursday in Brookhaven, Georgia, the kind of day where the air feels thick and slow. My wife, Maya, was 7 months pregnant, exhausted, and just trying to walk home from the grocery store after picking up a few things. She loved that walk, even when it tired her out. It made her feel normal, grounded, human. She never made it home. 3 blocks from our house, a cruiser rolled up behind her, lights flashing like she'd done something wrong. Officer Travis Holt stepped out, a man with a reputation everyone in the neighborhood knew about. Sharp tongue, short temper, and a badge he treated like a crown. He barked, "Step aside, ma'am, hands where I can see them." Maya, already tired, already carrying half our future in her belly, blinked in confusion. "Officer, what did I do?" Holt didn't answer. He stared at her grocery bags, lips curling like he'd caught her stealing national secrets. "What you got in there?" "Groceries," she whispered, voice shaking but steady. "Just groceries." But Holt wasn't interested in groceries or truth. He knocked the bags out of her hands, apples rolling into the street, a carton of eggs smashing at her feet. Then he shoved her. Hard. Too hard for any adult, let alone a pregnant woman. She hit the pavement stomach first. Everything after that blurred into panic. Maya cried out, hands clutching her belly, pain tightening across her face. Holt yelled at her to stop resisting, like she was the threat. Like she was the criminal. I didn't find out from the police, or the hospital, or even Holt himself. I found out from a neighbor who called me while I was tightening bolts on a motorcycle at the garage where I worked. The second I heard her voice break, the world inside me cracked open. I dropped everything and ran out of that shop like it was on fire. See, most people in Brookhaven knew me as the quiet mechanic on Miller Street, the guy who kept to himself, the guy who waved politely and mowed his lawn on Saturdays. They didn't know who I used to be. They didn't know what I was capable of. And for years, that's exactly how I wanted it. My name is Mark Keller, and once, a long time ago, before Maya, before the garage, before our quiet little world, I was part of a covert task unit so deep in the shadows it didn't technically exist. I'm talking missions that never got reported, names that never made it into any file, skills no civilian should ever have. I buried that life the day I met Maya. I promised myself I would never bring darkness into her world. But life is funny like that. Darkness doesn't care what you promised. When I reached the hospital, Maya was curled on the bed, tears streaking her face but the baby still safe. I held her hand as she told me everything in broken pieces. And that was it. The line. The moment the quiet man died and the operative woke up. I didn't storm out screaming. I didn't punch walls. I simply nodded, kissed her forehead, and walked out like a man going to fix a leak under the sink. But inside, the storm was already forming. I went straight home, opened the locked black case I hadn't touched in years, and unfolded a life I'd sworn to forget. Old contacts. Old tools. Old instincts. And there it was. A name I already knew would be waiting for me. Travis Holt. One thing leads to another, and suddenly I'm staring at a web much bigger than a single corrupt cop. Money laundering. Evidence tampering. Protection schemes. And Holt wasn't the top of the food chain. He was a pawn. A guard dog. A puppet. But every puppet has a puppeteer. And I wanted the hand controlling those strings. Before I could plan my next move, there was a knock at my door. Slow. Heavy. Confident. I opened it to find a man in a charcoal suit, tie immaculate, eyes cold enough to freeze hell over. "Mr. Keller," he said calmly. "Step away from this. You're in over your head." I stared at him, reading posture, stance, micro-movements. Every instinct screamed military. Black ops. Government. Someone who knew exactly who I used to be. He turned to leave, but not before saying, "Walk away while you still can. Your wife won't survive what comes next." That was the wrong thing to say. I spent the next 48 hours doing what I do best. Digging. Tracking. Connecting dots other people didn't even know existed. And what I found shook me down to the bone. The man in the suit was named Cole Maddox. And he wasn't just connected to corruption. He was orchestrating it. A shadow operator running a private network that infiltrated law enforcement, political offices, corporate security. Holt was just one of dozens. And they'd been watching me. The deeper I dug, the clearer it became. Maddox thought I still worked for the government. Thought I was a threat only if I remembered who I was. Too late. I remembered everything. Then, one afternoon, Maya called me from a friend's house, whispering through tears that cars had been watching her sleep, following her to appointments, hovering near the backyard gate. I told her to lock the doors and stay hidden. But the call died mid-sentence. That was enough. I grabbed my gear, got into my car, and sped toward the address. Everything in my head narrowed to a single point: get to her. When I reached the house, everything felt too still. Too quiet. I slipped through the backyard, keeping low, scanning corners, reading shadows. And that's when I saw her. Maya. Crying. Terrified. And standing behind her with a gun pressed to her head. Cole Maddox. He smirked. "You picked the wrong war, Keller." I stepped forward. "Let her go." He shook his head slowly. "You think you can dismantle a system that existed long before you were ever trained? You are nothing but a ghost of your former self." Then he pressed the gun tighter against her temple. In that moment, I didn't hear the birds or the traffic or even my own heartbeat. I only heard Maya's breath hitch. And I knew I had one chance to save her. Except someone else took the shot first. A crack split through the air. Maddox stumbled, gun falling from his hand. And there, standing on the roof with a scoped rifle aimed steady, was my old teammate Ray Donovan. I hadn't seen Ray since the day our unit disbanded. He was the best shot I'd ever known. And he'd just saved my wife. Ray jumped down, landing hard, shouting, "Move. More incoming." He wasn't kidding. A convoy of black SUVs turned into the cul-de-sac, men pouring out with rifles, formation precise and lethal. These weren't cops. They weren't feds. They were the network's private soldiers. And we were boxed in. Maya clung to me as Ray laid down cover fire. I grabbed her and ran behind a stone wall. Bullets tore through the air. The SUVs closed in. And then, like some nightmare coming full circle, one more car rolled up. A familiar face stepped out, Agent Rowe. My former commanding officer. The man I once trusted with my life. He leveled a gun at me. "You should have stayed retired, Mark." My jaw clenched. "You trained me to protect the innocent." "That's exactly what I'm doing." Rowe shook his head. "You're interfering with national interests." I laughed. "National interests? Is that what you call abducting my wife?" He didn't flinch. "She was leverage. You were never supposed to react this violently." Behind me, Maya whispered, "Mark, what are they talking about?" I didn't answer. I couldn't. Because the truth was about to crush her. Rowe's voice cut through the chaos. "You think you left the program, Mark, but no one leaves. You've been one of ours all along. Every job you took. Every city you moved to. Every piece of intel you stumbled across. We fed it to you. You've been working for us without even knowing it. My stomach twisted. Maya stared at me, shaking her head. Mark, tell me that's not true. I swallowed hard. I didn't know Maya. I swear to you, I never agreed to any of this. But before she could answer, Ray shouted, "Incoming!" A massive explosion ripped through the street, sending cars flipping, windows shattering, men diving for cover. Smoke. Fire. Screams. And then, silence. Out of the smoke walked another team. Fully armed. Fully tactical. But this time, they were wearing federal insignias. Real ones. The man at the front raised his badge. Homeland Security. Everyone drop your weapons. The corrupt soldiers froze. Rowe looked at me, realization turning his face white. You brought them here. I shrugged. You taught me well, sir. Within minutes, Rowe, Holt, Maddox and the entire network cell were cuffed and loaded into armored vans. Homeland picked up evidence I'd compiled. And Maya clung to me like she'd drown if she let go. It should have felt like victory. It should have felt like justice. But all I felt was the weight of secrets I'd spent years burying rise to the surface. Back home, after the chaos, Maya finally spoke. Mark, who are you, really? I took a long breath. The truth tasted bitter. Someone I never wanted to be again. Someone you deserve better than. She shook her head slowly. Someone who saved me. Someone who protected our family. Someone I still choose. But she wasn't smiling. Her voice wasn't warm. Because love survives truth, but trust takes time. And I don't know if we'll ever go back to the life we had. But I'm willing to fight for it, one day at a time. One truth at a time. One scar at a time. Let me ask you this. If the person you loved hid a dangerous past to protect you, would you forgive them, or would the secret break everything? Is justice worth it if the cost is your relationship, your peace, your future? Drop your thoughts in the comments. I want to see the arguments, the stories, the real-life experiences. Sometimes the line between hero and threat is thinner than we want to admit.